This is the stuff dreams are made of. I'm writer-collector Ryan Condal.
And I'm writer-collector Dave Mandel, and you're listening to the original movie prop collecting podcast, coming to you live today from prison. We've been thrown in prison after the Han Solo deep dive. We were sued by 18 different entities. Ryan and I are bankrupt. There will be a bankruptcy, some kind of a sell-off of our stuff. We are in... you're in debtor's prison. You're like in an old-fashioned, like London debtor's prison. Like, please, sir, can I have some more? I'm in a nice, very country club prison. If you're watching on the YouTube, you can see my tennis court behind me. It's pretty nice. Yours is pretty brutal, Ryan. I think you picked the wrong country.
Dave's in the prison where all of Donald Trump's friends go.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I just made a pretty sizable donation to the Trump third-term re-election campaign, and I smell a pardon. So, yeah.
Can you get me one? Because... This Zoom background is pretty good, people, but you don't want to see what's going on behind my blue screen.
Look, it's very simple. It's just give a donation. You can have a part. You can murder somebody and just give a part, and then just
Dave,
pardon.
so many missing teeth. It's upsetting.
The biscuits with maggots in it is hard. I know. So we have steak here in the country club prison.
And that's considered a delicacy.
How you doing today?
All things considered, I think I'm all right.
Good. Excellent. We've got a very, very exciting show for everybody. This is the season finale. So we've got maybe we got a Who Shot JR like cliffhanger where Bart will be working late editing and someone will come into the office and shoot him from behind and he'll slump out of the chair and you'll tune in next season to see whether it was me or Ryan or both of us shooting him.
Yeah, I like that it's Bart that's in peril for once. It's his turn.
Well, we're in prison, so it's okay. Yeah,
it
works. It works. We are recording this on Easter Sunday, so happy Easter for those that can afford eggs. It's really quite a shit show. But anyway, what's going on? Go ahead.
I did buy 2 dozen eggs. I just got back from New Jersey. I was visiting family there. The kids were on school break, so we were visiting family, and I went out and bought 2 dozen eggs because we're like, oh, cousins, lots of kids, let's dye some Easter eggs. And I realized standing in the store, because I was all prepared for them to cost $36 or whatever for the 24 eggs, and I think they were, I don't know, $7.50 or whatever. I think we were at Target.
Oh, that's not bad. Because I was gonna say about $11 a dozen or $12 a dozen or something.
Okay, because I was thinking like $1 an egg or worse. And I was like, is this bad? Or maybe it's really terrible, but I've also lived in London so long where the prices are just astronomical, all like comedy prices. Like if you've ever visited Zurich, there are these cities in Europe where just everything is just, how much can you charge for a bushel of strawberries? 20 pounds? Sure, I guess that's what strawberries cost. Well, I want strawberries, so this is what I have to pay. And, because as I've mentioned before, London is very, very into preventing Russian money laundering. Like everything, you try to make a bank transfer, you try to set up a bank as an American or a foreign national coming in, and there are all these hoops you have to jump through. You want to do anything. There's no Venmo here. PayPal has these restrictions on it because they're very, very into preventing Russian money laundering, except, Dave, by Russian money launderers.
I was about to say, yeah, exactly. Ironic in a country where the Russians have bought the entire conservative party.
They own the conservative party, all the property, the parks, everything. But that's totally above board. They own Chelsea, the football club.
We don't want somebody sending somebody $250 on PayPal for a poster. Yeah,
correct. Because that could be Russian money laundering. So it's one of my many London rants. But yeah, so I bought eggs and I have no idea whether they were expensive. I was prepared. I was ready to, have to, call the bank and verify that it was actually me making this extraordinary purchase, this luxurious purchase of 24 eggs. Like you're on like it's Dune, but instead of water, it's eggs.
Is this you? Like credit card like failure? Is this you?
Voice print identification.
This is connected to absolutely nothing, but I will share it because I actually had a weird credit card verification issue. last night, but let me see if I can find it to share it with you. It was me, and then I said, yes, this is me, and that was all fine and good. But there's this fascinating book. Now, I haven't gotten it in my hands, so I can't answer, like, is it great? But it looks great. There's this, how do I describe it? There's this book called The Blofeld Files, which is a making of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, with just crazy amounts of like photos and interviews and whatnot. If you just Google The Blofeld Files, you can find it. Cool. And I ordered this from overseas somewhere. Super expensive book, super expensive shipping to get it to the United States. The credit card company, of course.
Is this an old out of print book, or is this a new thing?
No, this is apparently some kind of a new thing where someone has put it together with photos and stuff. And I don't know. I just I love the idea that someone is spending the time on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is an incredible movie, but for the grace of George Lazenby, who wasn't awful, but sort of wasn't great either. But
who was once your guest to the Emmys.
That's right. But certainly could have been, had that been a Sean Connery movie, God, what might have been if on her with
I mean, Dave, the book. I don't know if you've ever bothered to read all the Fleming books, but the book, I mean, ranks up there with because it's the only one with an arc.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaking end, and he changes. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. It's really wonderful. Anyway, so the credit card company was very suspicious, but it was a real purchase. It was real. I have one last thing to say about eggs, which is Becky is visiting her folks in Maine, and they live in a farm. And she said to me on the phone, she goes, "We have a surplus. My father has like too many eggs. There's a surplus of eggs." And she sort of said it was ironically, and I guess he has someone that buys his eggs, and they pay like $4 an egg. And I was, of course, like, no, that he should like double that price. That's crazy, $4 an egg. That's a steal, whatever. And of course, her father is like a lifelong communist, so I don't think he's raising the price of the eggs. But anyway, yeah. So if you're in South Paris, Maine, $4 eggs at the Whitney farm if you're interested. But yeah,
all right,
a real bargain. You could buy them there and ship them over the border to Canada or something.
Yeah, egg smuggling.
Yeah, just don't use PayPal. But yeah.
Wasn't that a plot in was that Goodfellas? The cigarette smuggling, wasn't that a thing where they were
lots of cigarette smuggling, but no egg smuggling.
But you passed the Goodfellas on the highway on the way.
Yeah, exactly. They just waved to everybody. Set up outside a school selling
feel like
eggs.
Fewer whackings in the in the egg smuggling world. Maybe not. I don't know.
It's probably harder. I mean, cigarettes are pretty crash resistant, but eggs, you got to really
and more
like
compact and lighter. Yeah.
You definitely have to drive them better. So anyway,
Dave, we should smuggle cigarettes to fund the next season of the Stuff Dreams Are Made Of.
Brought to you by smuggled cigarettes and cheap eggs. Yeah.
No, expensive eggs. They need.
Yeah, very expensive eggs.
Markup.
No, exactly.
We need to make up in volume there.
Well, more on that in a minute or two, but first, I think what's new in props. I think people have been losing their minds because we had banked some early episodes, and those episodes kind of aired post the prop store auction. I think people keep tuning in thinking this will be the one where they actually get the results of the prop store auction. Well, this is the one where you're going to get the results of the prop store auction.
But before we do that, just to keep them waiting a little bit longer, there was one thing I wanted to do, and I was figuring out where to fit this in. I feel like it fits in better here at the front. So just hang on a second, cool your jets, or skip ahead. Every once in a while, I like to
do not skip ahead. Don't skip ahead. This is important.
Don't skip ahead.
The man has something to say. Yeah.
You never know when we're going to give something good away. But I like to do this from time to time. I watch something good. We always chat. Hey, have you seen this? Pass it on. I watched a Kurosawa film on the. I was doing these long haul flights, so I watched the film on the way out. I watched the film on the way back. And I like to just sort of, usually rent things from the Apple Store that I wouldn't watch otherwise, that don't seem to need the big screen treatment. So I try to find things that are kind of, interior dramas that you can kind of live in that sort of, on your iPad or on your laptop space. Anyway, I watched, I love Kurosawa. I've seen all of his samurai films, some of them multiple times. But I'd never seen High and Low. Have you ever seen High and Low?
No, never. No.
Highly recommended, Dave. And I will tell you, you as a fan of Heat and of Fincher's Zodiac, you can see the fandom in those movies, how they drew from this and how this was such a sort of
It's a procedural
inspiration.
of sorts, or a crime.
Yes,
Oh, interesting.
Yes,
Okay.
without giving anything away. But and it's contemporary, so it was shot in the '60s, so it takes place in the kind of post-war, sort of post-war Japan, and Toshiro Mifune is the star, but not a samurai. He's a wealthy industrialist in this movie.
Parentheses, samurai.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Wait until the third act, everybody. But it's just really incredible. It's available on the iTunes store. It's a wonderful print, restoration. So it looks great. It sounds great, and I just was really drawn in by it. I mean, in a way where I know that director sort of for the way he inspired, John Milius and Steven Spielberg and
Right.
Walter Hill and these guys that went on to make sort of modern samurai films, not for this like really compelling dramatist. And not to say those samurai movies aren't compelling dramas, they totally are, but they're so rooted in that kind of Shakespearean mythology.
They also get sort of, if you will, not obviously he is admired, but people dismiss them as samurai movies. You know what I mean? A little bit like he makes samurai movies. There's almost
That's
like
the
it's
samurai
like,
guy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's just excellent. And it's so ahead of its time too. I think it was 1963 or something. So it's, it's later in his career. It's post all of his most famous samurai films. But Dave, it is so
fascinating.
good.
Well, I will add that to the list. I will add that
check
to the
it
list. Speaking of post-war, we did a Friday night screening in Beverly Hills. There's a theater there that started doing some sort of some revival stuff. And we did The Third Man on the big screen, which I've seen many times on the big screen.
Yeah.
But
I've never seen it on the big screen, but I've seen it a couple of times.
Took the kids and a couple of friends and whatever. Everybody kind of went, and it was. I mean, I love the movie. It was interesting to see the younger generation watching it. There was the cinematography, the on location in Vienna, like that plays. Harry Lime plays. The Cuckoo Clock plays. It was interesting. They were really sort of befuddled and don't like Joseph Cotton as the main character who sort of kind of doesn't know what's going on, like the guy kind of wandering through the movie, like that like
there's a Hitchcockian term for that,
for a guy like that.
Yeah,
interesting. I don't think I know that one.
And it's slipping my.
I always think of it as a variation of sort of like, the forgive me, the patsy in like a femme fatale movie, the guy that is going to go to prison. But it's not quite that, because spoiler, but he doesn't go to prison. It's just a guy sort of stumbling through the movie trying to solve a mystery that really doesn't and shouldn't need solving, but is kind of an idiot and kind of 10 steps behind the entire movie. And it was interesting. It definitely... I don't want to say it frustrated them, but that part of it was not enjoyable. It was just very interesting to see. So it was like definitely, I don't think there was the pure love that I was looking for, but there was certainly an appreciation of it. I loved it, but it was interesting to watch. Yeah.
What did they think of Orson Welles?
This was, I think, their first Orson Welles. So I do think we talked a lot about. I told them there's that famous story of him being asked like. I don't know if they asked him about like did he wish he had more screen time, or I don't know, or do they wish he was like more of the main character? And his answer was something about how, of course, he was the main character, that he's not on screen, but all anyone is doing is talking about him. It's just Harry Lime this and Harry Lime that and Harry Lime this, and so it's like okay, he's not on the screen, but like he couldn't be more the main character, just not being seen. And there's apparently some play that he had also done called like Mr. Wu or something, where sort of same thing. Mr. Wu doesn't appear till the end of Act 1 for like 3 seconds, but it's an entire act of Mr. Wu this and Mr. Wu that, whatever. Anyway, it was a very just sort of interesting discussion about what makes a main character and whatnot. So I enjoyed that fact. Just I like them sort of seeing and talking a little bit about cinema, and I am very curious. I mean, certainly when there is going to be a Citizen Kane on the big screen, I obviously want to take them to that. We also talked a lot about the fact that The Third Man has a plot that it's pretty almost like like almost every, like any TV show mystery has more or less done like the third man story at some point or another.
Yes.
The guy you think is dead who, isn't, like you're trying to find this killer, and of course he's alive at the end of the episode or the middle of the episode or whatever. So that it has become sort of almost like a trope in a way, but it was in the third man, it was stunning and sort of a, oh my God, we've never seen this before. And those things are sometimes difficult as well, because kids are, not the kids per se, but people are used to an idea, but you have to try and put yourself in the brain of no one had ever seen this before.
Right.
Anyway,
you have to put yourself back in when you find a thing that's inspired everything that came after it, you have to put yourself back into it and see it for, see it for
that
what it is.
being said, I was also going to tell you that, the weekend before, so we haven't done a show in a week or two or whatever, a couple of weeks, but in the middle there somewhere, Freddie and his buddy saw Blade Runner and loved it. So that was very exciting too. Like,
cool.
Fucking loved it. So that was really, really cool.
So instantly favorite child now, given your daughter's response.
Certainly being given the gun in the will, I guess. So
fair.
So I don't know if he's going to sell it though. So see what you see. Good luck, everybody. Yeah, I think he really liked it. So yeah. But yeah, anyway, that's
good.
That's what's going on in movie watching here in the Mandel house. So yeah,
that's good. That's good. I just showed my kids Back to the Future because I was talking to another dad at the school who was like, my kids. He's got his kids are slightly older, but same sort of very clustered, all very clustered together. He has boys, we have girls, but he he said that they basically everything he's shown them from his era they've hated, just exclusively hated,
including Back
and maybe
to the
they're not
Future?
ready, including Star Wars, Dave.
Oh God!
But he showed them Back to the Future, and they all like, and he has 3 of them, and it just everyone just total crowd pleaser. So he's like, show it. So I did. My eldest got it, definitely got it. The youngest was sort of like she tracked the plot, but then was like, I was checking in at points to kind of fill things in, but the oldest was like laughing at the humor, and the person she found the funniest was Doc Brown. I mean, she just loved Doc Brown and all of his when he accidentally sets his workshop on fire, and his very big reaction to that got a real belly laugh, which I really enjoyed. So but it was great. It was great fun, and they clapped at the end when mom and dad got together and.
Nice.
Enjoyed the changed future.
Now you can take them to Back to the Future the musical.
That's right. That's right. Now I can show them Back to the Future too, so they can go, "What the hell is this?"
I don't understand. It's got some pretty good props, but what a strange movie.
Can we get a hoverboard? I didn't like that, but can we get a hoverboard?
Our viewers may be able to help me. I actually just picked this up, which is this was on sale. I picked up the 4K of Back to the Future, and I had previously had Back to the Future, I guess whatever last Blu-ray, whatever. So I, which had a code as well, and so I have it on my iTunes. And normally you do this, you fill out the thing, it's Movies Anywhere, and then it upgrades or updates your old movie to the 4K. And sometimes it does it even if you don't buy something, like just the fact that you have a movie and the 4K version has come out, it updates you to 4K. And for some reason, my 3 movies it sort of did not register. They're in Movies Anywhere, but they haven't moved to iTunes. And on iTunes, it's just those original Blu-rays. It hasn't upgraded them to 4K. And I'm very
funny,
confused.
If you buy a digital movie on iTunes in 1080, so in HD, and it gets upgraded to 4K, you get the automatic upgrade. That's
what I'm saying. So I'm sort of super confused.
That's bizarre.
So I'm really confused. So we'll see if I can resolve it. This is one of those things where there is no helpline. So if anybody out there works for iTunes or Universal or I don't know, maybe I'll reach out to Digital Bits for a little help in the forums there. But annoyed. Okay, so
Dave, also public service announcement. Tombstone just announced on 4K. It will be out and released by the time this episode airs. Buy it on 4K. The restoration is apparently incredible. It was one that Bill Hunt,
steel
friend
case,
of the show,
is sold out. But he says more are coming. And they will make. And
more.
I guess the same thing with Kingdom of Heaven. The
Kingdom of Heaven also gorgeous steel case, steel book for that. I actually pre-ordered it in the U.S. because that came online first, and I wasn't sure if they were going to sell it at the U.K. The U.K. one just came online, so I actually canceled my U.S. order. Maybe I should have just bought both. So I had
you could have paid for your second one with your first one.
I could get into Kingdom of Heaven Steelbook smuggling past the egg people on the highway. On the Lusitania as we sail.
Because of that screening though, I was just going to say sorry. Because of the 4K coming out of Kingdom of Heaven, they are doing a Kingdom of Heaven 4K on the big screen of the director's cut. At the Egyptian here in Hollywood for those that are
fantastic.
I managed to snag 2 tickets for that, so I'm very excited. Yeah,
great.
I'm very
yeah,
excited.
So anyone that I think we might have talked about this before, but anyone saw that movie in the theater, forget what you saw. It was this Fox ruined that movie. They cut 45 50 minutes out of it.
Yeah, almost an hour, almost a solid hour almost, yeah.
And it's all the things that make the character make sense, the story makes sense. Do yourself a favor, go watch the director's cut of that. Actually, wait a month, and at the end of May when the 4K comes out, get that 4K, watch that director's cut. I think that was Ridley Scott's kind of last great sort of masterpiece, the director's cut of that movie. So
I am very much looking forward to seeing that version on a big screen and also getting the 4K. So yeah, very, very cool.
Great score too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know what was interesting? Sorry, I got this. If anyone is still listening, I was watching Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and I was watching the highway attack on when the Winter Soldier attacks Cap the Falcon, Natasha, and the Shield agent who's a Hydra, and they sort of he jumps onto the car and throws him whatever. But it was the first. I don't know. I was paying attention to it, and I realized that they're doing that kind of almost like Sonic, it's not exactly music, but it's kind of very Heat. It's that very the Heat gun battle at the end, that kind of metronome kind of not it's not a ticking clock, but it's a very and it
lots of hi-hats and the brushy drumsticks,
and it made me appreciate the Winter Soldier even more, which I love the Winter Soldier to begin with, but it made me appreciate it that much more, that they kind of a little nick/nod, because it's a completely different sequence. It's not it's not a gunfight in the same way, but clearly they went, what are the great gunfights, and just sort of musically went let's try something in this area. Anyway, kudos to them. Good on you, Russo brothers. I really enjoyed that movie. Anyway. All right. If anyone is still listening at the 23-minute mark, what's new in props?
Big what's new in props this week. So people have been writing in.
Yeah, maybe we talk about individually what we did, and then we can talk about the auction in general, or maybe talk about the auction in general.
Talk about the auction in general, and just, delay the unveiling,
the gratification. Yeah,
even further.
I definitely tried bidding on things throughout the auction. And, I was surprised by things that went cuckoo. You know what I mean? There were a couple of things I tried for the Grand Hotel Budapest book. And it wasn't there was one other guy. There were certainly 3 other guys and then 2 other guys. And so
people love that movie.
I dropped out, and then the last 2 guys took that book to I don't know, $16,000. So, I mean, that was I was long out on a book, and, I'm sure one will never show again, but, and I will regret it. But, boy, oh boy, I was really, there were definitely, there were things that didn't sell, as there always are, but boy, there were things where I just went, oh my God, look at that. I was really pleasantly surprised, about the Tron costume. That had a nice battle and went for I don't know, 40 or 50,000, something like that. I think
that did very well. The Evil Dead stuff did very well.
The Evil Dead stuff, not a shock. There was a lot of it, but the big stuff went big, and well, it should have. Well, it should have, which was really great.
That Batman costume sold well. The one that had been in a previous auction,
that came back for this one,
bumped,
that was nice. The biggest thing that didn't sell that I noticed, I guess, well, I'll get the 2, but the Superman costume did not sell, which I
That
guess
has since
it
sold.
has. Oh, good.
Yes,
there you
I
go.
was
Okay.
told. I was told that. I think my guess is that people were late to the news of the screen match, and some people didn't realize it, and then enough people didn't realize it that there wasn't a bidding war on the day, but it's since sold afterwards. So
Oh, that's good. I did wonder if it was just the evil Superman of it all.
yeah.
Not,
But it was
not,
so complete. I mean, for me, if that was my shot at a Superman costume, it would not have bothered me.
It's funny. I want one, but I don't think I could have pulled the trigger at any. I mean, I guess at some ridiculously low number, but Mr.
You want
Fusion.
Christopher Reeve head.
I want just it didn't have a Christopher Reeve head, a mushy Christopher Reeve, sort of a vaguely Asian Christopher Reeve head, just because it's so like weirdly mushed. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. And we're canceled. Yeah, I don't know. Anything that shocked you, just off the top of your head as you were kind of going through at the auction? How much were you watching?
I watched a good bit early. That's the problem with the U.S. auctions is that they start late because they're trying to hit this sweet spot where they're not precluding America by starting too early, but then half the auction just I'm not staying up till 2 a.m.
Right. So it starts sort of in your
just
late.
To follow as a spectator.
Right. It starts in your early evening, and at some point after 2 or 3 hours, you're
kids'
done.
dinner time basically is the beginning of the auction, and that's great for the A's, the B's, and the C's. The Aliens, the Blade Runners, and the Conans, and the Batmans of the world. But if you're looking for a Star Wars piece, good luck to you. And I've had them call me and wake me up before. I just leave my ringer on and say wake me up because.
That's probably a good way of doing it, just because you don't have to obsess wherever that fits in.
Yeah.
I
think there were
the alien stuff, like the big the loader and stuff. Yep, that did well and whatnot.
That did well.
Yep.
There were a bunch of passes again. I mean, it was a 33-35% sort of pass rate, which didn't used to be the case, but I think that's been more the case of recent, just that now that there are more auctions.
It
seems
like that's their average now, and then stuff sells after
they clean
the
it up.
fact.
I think they get to their 85-90% sell through sort of post auction. And I think also some of that is just the high reserves that sellers are looking for. I mean, I know having consigned something to them. I mean, my clapper sold very well. I was very excited about that. That was a surprise to me. I was hoping it would do well. I didn't realize how well it was going to do. So that was nice.
I mean, I was watching that, and that blew by what I was interested in. So good on you. But that was seemed like, again, two very motivated buyers. Wherever that fits in.
But I just think, I think a credit to me in agreeing to just sell it for, just let it run, trusting that there was
not
value
putting
there.
it in, not thinking to yourself, it is $50,000. Let's put it in at $50,000, and rather.
People wanted it.
It went at 10. I'm sure people were hoping, for 15 to 20, but then kind of got hooked and went for it. I did win, not early on, I guess 305, which was the the makeup and wig.
Yeah,
I did
that's
win.
very cool.
I was really excited. I got.
Are you going to do a thing?
I'm going to try and do a thing. We'll see if I can do a thing. It may be, and I don't know if this was just so that it doesn't crack or whatnot, and I have to talk to people better than I, that it may have been on sort of a smaller head than his actual head, so that, you know what I mean? So that it doesn't expand and crack. And the head that it's on definitely seemed like it was too small for the body I have my costume on, if I'm making sense. So it would require, I don't know, it would require a lot of different things. I also don't necessarily, I don't know if I want to do a full life casting of Ricardo Montalban. I don't know if there's a way of doing it. I'm not sure I would want to do it on a generic head. I'm not sure it would look as good if it were on a sort of featureless head. So there's a lot of variables, but I will certainly be diving into that, I guess. wherever. Again, I think I have to talk to a couple of different people. I'm sure Tom Spina will be one of them.
That's a very good get, though.
Yeah,
for
I was
the
really
con collection,
excited
yeah.
just to grab a little something from Con that kind of goes so well with what I had.
The stuff you have,
Yeah. I don't know. The Mandrake from Harry Potter went higher than I was expecting. Not that I was bidding on it, but I was sort of watching it because I thought it was cool. What else was I going to say? You know what I was surprised by? I guess, and again, I don't know what things sold eventually. Like, I don't think the Travolta script or the Randall Kleiser Grease script sold. Now, they were big numbers, but they didn't sell. Wherever, they just didn't. And again, maybe they were the big numbers of it all. And on the flip side, I was very surprised that the Dragon Slayer stuff starting at 5K, and then maybe they sold after the fact, but the dagger, the staff, and the armor didn't sell because I thought those were spectacular. I really thought those were spectacular.
I'm surprised you didn't bid on them with your fandom for that movie.
I really do love it, but I was keeping my powder dry. I'll start with, so my next bidding experience, and you can jump in after on yours, was, so the first thing that I was really paying attention to and watching, and I guess, we're talking about, starting numbers, was the Yavin medal. And I was on the phone for the Yavin medal, and there was definitely, I think, from what I could tell, at least two other people just sort of on the phone for the Yavin medal. And it just, it was that sort of where 2 minutes feels like a half an hour. It just, everybody was sort of staring each other down. And I did wonder, it felt like if somebody bid, somebody else would bid, but nobody bid. And I just sort of was just maybe if the order had been different or something, but it was just very so I didn't bid, but it was interesting because I was on the phone and I was sort of watching the live, and you could see the auctioneer looking. I think I was on with Chuck, and there was clearly as I said, other people on, and he just wanted somebody to bid, and nobody bid, which was, again, just sort of interesting. Yeah.
Can you tell me your theory on this phenomenon? Because this happens quite a bit, where a big lot like that passes, but not because of lack of interest. It passes because there's a bunch of people on the phone docks sort of waiting for somebody else to move. And my feeling is when you do that, it's because you feel well, I don't want to just win it for the first bid and then just pay the vig on top of that when obviously there's a deal to be made offline.
I guess the fact
but
that
often there's no deal made offline with these other guys. Are they trying to see whether the market will bear a bid, and once the market bears one bid, then they're like, okay, well, I guess if somebody else considers it worth that, then it's worth that to me.
I had not thought about it. I do think there are two parts to it. I think there's sort of part one, and this is unfortunate. There is a group of buyers out there, and I again, no idea who was on the phone, so this is not about the Yavin bidders because I don't know who they are, but it's certainly true. I've seen it in comic art, and I assume it's true in props, which is to say that there are buyers that are very concerned with what other people think. That's the easiest way I can express it. Meaning they don't have taste of their own. They want what other people think is good, wherever. I don't know how else to say that. And so I do think there are buyers out there that if no one else is bidding, they question their own taste because they don't have their own taste. So that's type one. Let's put that in a category. And then I think type two is hopefully I think what I was trying to do, which was I was looking at it going, I think it's high. I think it's a little high. I really do. It feels a little high. And the fact that the after bid is there if you want to try, assuming you don't spend a lot of money on something else, that is an option, that like that if you that it's worth sort of the non-bid to at least see if you can make a deal afterwards and maybe sort of save yourself a little bit. So that's number 2. And then, I think number 3 is I think there are people out there that don't necessarily know the market, and it's almost sort of like there. And again, I knew someone in comic art collecting that was like this. He didn't want to buy something that wasn't in auction. Because he felt the auction was serving the price.
I've heard that before. Yeah.
And there were definitely times where he was offered things at a lower number and paid more later because it went to auction and there were more bidders. But he felt better about the market showing that the auction showed that this is what the value was, even though obviously on a different auction maybe someone else doesn't bid and it could go for another number, but that the auction pricing sets the number. And so in a world of somebody else not bidding, whoever's on the phone doesn't want to bid for the same reason. So I don't know, three versions of maybe things conspiring. I don't know. Would you have something? I mean, I feel like those encompass what you were talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, that's my sense of it. And I also think there's this weird kind of, now that we're in this sort of yachtier echelon that we find everything that we want in, I feel like there is this kind of like day trader bro-y thing going on where like, I'm happy to win it for a bunch of money if there's competition. And it's not, I don't think it's simply like the satisfaction of crushing somebody else down, but I think it's all wrapped up into what you were just talking about. But I do think there is this sense of like
sort of
I want
enjoy,
to beat
somebody.
Right,
but also I want what someone else wants and I want to beat them at it. And because again, it doesn't have value to me if no one else likes it. Like as opposed to, I fucking love this movie and I don't give a shit. And again, Star Wars is a weird one to say that about, but certainly on some of this other stuff, the Krolls of the world where it's like, I fucking love Kroll and I don't care who knows it. Do you know what I mean? But I don't.
You should.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Yeah. Pretty, it was really interesting. Like I said, it felt sort of, speaking of Tombstone, it felt very OK Corral of like everybody sort of staring, waiting and staring. And then like if someone had bid, it would have been like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? Like that would have been that sort of that Kurt Russell moment. But
Virgil, bring the howitzer. Yeah.
It did not. That was a piece that was from the collection of the former prop man. And it did not go. And then obviously the Chewbacca came up. And I guess I'll start with, I won the Chewbacca. I won the Chewbacca. You know this, but the audience now knows.
Well done,
yeah,
Dave.
No, thank you. I'm very, very, very excited.
It's a killer piece. I mean,
I think it's a killer piece. I'm not gonna lie. I have listened. I've gone back and listened to us on the Planet Hollywood auction episode, dismissing it like 18,000 times. It makes me laugh so much. Just
are you like Gene Hackman in the conversation?
I'm like listening and hoping just like taking my toilet apart and listening to that, wondering like if I see they meant it is real as opposed to it is real or some whatever some emphasis. But I still sort of can't believe it. I'll say a couple of things. It definitely went a little higher than I was expecting. I had spoken to a bunch of,
I was expecting.
Yeah, I'd spoken to a bunch of people that I knew, and none of them were bidding, or one or two that sort of weren't going to go higher than where I was aiming. And I was aiming, I guess, I was hoping for sort of, I guess 5 and change, like 5 basically, which would have made it 6 with the VIG. That's what I was hoping for. And it ended up going for 610, I believe. And I'll tell you an interesting story about the bidding. I don't know who was watching or paying attention. Basically, I was up against an absentee bidder. So there was some bidding, and then at some point or another, someone had put a 600,000 absentee bid in and walked away. And so every time I bid, it like auto came back on, basically auto came back on top.
It was bid GPT you were up against.
Exactly. And I had decided, and I am very happy to say this, I did not have anything that sold. Well, I guess I had the Cantina mask that was a good number, but I sold a bunch of my Star Wars storyboards and some Macquarie sketches and some Joe Johnson storyboards and whatnot, and I ended up making a really nice number, over 100,000 on all of that stuff that I put in. So I was very happy about that. So I went up, basically, I decided to basically go up that amount, for lack of a better word. And so 600 was my top bid. It had 600, so I did 610, and that was my last bid. But they were done. That was the end of their absentee auto bid. If that person had come back in, if they had been watching and come back in, it would have, I guess, been theirs. But that was their number, and I guess that became my number. So I did win, which was congrats, which was pleasing.
And you'll figure it out.
No, like I said, I will figure it out. And actually, there'll be more of my stuff in the next prop store auction.
You actually said you actually did a good amount of damage in a good damage way, just with the things that you had already had in that auction, right? You were kind of surprised at the sum total.
I had managed to get stuff in when I had heard about these pieces, so I was sort of, whatever. And there's more stuff coming, I guess, for lack of a better word, in the next auction. There were some things I had that duplicated things, et cetera, et cetera. So I will. There's more to come, and certainly if I could do another, like piece or two like that, I'd be thrilled, in terms of the totals, because certainly, and this is obviously the name of the game, I didn't get rid of anything that I really ever miss. You know what I mean? I mean, it's all lovely, yeah. But everything I got rid of, like with the Joe Johnson stuff, I did it because I had like, in some cases, two better ones that were very similar, so it was okay to let go of these pieces. So I was very happy with all of that. And how about you? How was your day? Where were you?
Well, I
did you
went in.
Sorry, really quickly. I was going to start with. Were you still thinking about the Mr. Fusion, or were you not so much thinking about it as the day went?
I was, and I got that actually went lower than I thought it would.
Yes, I agree with that.
Half.
I thought it was certainly going to go over 100,000 in bidding. So wherever.
Yes. So I got fairly close to just impulse bidding. Where I had not set out and planned, and this would have been me, not very un-me, because then it would have been me clicking online instead of being on the phone. And I just let it go because I had decided that day, that week leading up to it, that I was, even though it was the worst timing possible, that I had to go for the ghost trap, and I had to at least make an attempt at it, so that I could, just be able to tell myself I did it. And long ago in this crazy hobby of ours, I sort of realized the hard way by seeing things go by that you really do have to, if you're serious about this, you really have to be willing to, when the thing comes along, you have to be willing to go for it and just figure it out later. And whether that means paying it over time or selling some things that maybe you weren't thinking about selling, or not being active in the next two auctions or the next auction, depending on what you bought, you just sort of have to be willing to do that. And what I found in 15 years experience of doing this is that most often a year goes by and you don't regret buying the piece. But I've had so many of these, because you figure it out, you take another job, more money does eventually, come in this world, or you go into a rewrite that maybe you didn't want to or need to do at some point earlier in my career. Right now, I just do this one thing, but I found in the couple of examples where I didn't do that, I found the regret lingering longer the sort of non-buyer's regret versus the buyer's remorse of buying the piece, and you just sort of, it kind of you figure it out. And I'm saying do not go into debt, do not mortgage your house. I've never done anything like that. This has always been done with quote unquote disposable income. But
We'd like to mention now our new sponsor, online gambling. That's really the best way to play. Pay for props. Yes, exactly. Yes. They will. Yeah.
And Dave and my new OnlyFans site,
where we have only one fan there. Yeah, it's really, that's right. It's not doing well. Yeah,
we bid on props with our feet. That's apparently a big thing. But I just, I came to the point where I was like, if this came up a year from now, I would be all over it, because I've always wanted something from Ghostbusters. That was the classic one and done example. Like, you can buy that one thing and never have to look at Ghostbusters again. Honestly, if a proton pack comes up in the next auction, I ain't bidding. I really don't need it. I'm so happy with this thing. It's the best ghost trap. It's from Ghostbusters 1. It's from Ghostbusters 2. So I just decided to go for it. And then I set my maximum and then quickly blew right past it.
What was your max?
And 2 was my, which I felt reasonably assured about, given that it had sold recently for less than that. But modern collecting, whatever. And there were actually a bunch of bidders in, and I knocked all of them out. And then it was me and one other guy or gal in that sort of last stretch. So,
but another, just because I'm always interested, a live bidder, like someone on the phone, but not a.
Yes, somebody. I was bidding against that motherfucker Chuck Costas from Propster. Love you, Chuck. Chuck was not bidding, but he was representing whoever the underbidder was.
He had someone on a phone. Gotcha.
It was me and the great Dan Hill. Thank you, Dan, for championing me the whole way. Versus Chuck. So I disappointed Chuck and his bidder in the end there, and won. And look, I'm thrilled. I'm so happy to have it. It's gonna be a while before I actually have it in hand, because I'm doing a bunch of I had a piece in that sale. I have a couple of pieces in Heritage. I had some art in Heritage that sold. I have another piece coming down the road that we'll talk about, when and if we get there in a future auction. So there were things in the offing. There are more things that I'm going to kind of load in just to sort of pay it on down the way. And then sort of, in a few months, I set up a thing with Prop Store. They were very, generous and welcoming of a plan. Before I went in and bid, I said, if I'm going to bid, I need to know that I have time, because usually I win these things and I just pay for it and figure it out later. But with this one, I just if that was going to be the case, I needed a little time to sort of give some things up. So I'm going to be doing a little bit more of that. We'll talk about that because I'm not entirely sure exactly what those things are going to be as we move on down the line. Just to whittle away a little bit at it. But hopefully, if there's another season of this show, I'll have it in hand at some point and be able to talk about it. But it's fantastic. And anybody that saw me in the hands-on video when Dave and I were at Prop Store, it was amazing. And
it was
the joy on my face in playing with that piece, and it's everything you want a prop from that era to be. It's big, it's heavy, it's made of metal, it has all weird sort of electrical components in it.
Big, it's got goofy remote control,
period remote control that looks like the one from Back to the Future. It's great. It's just great. So thrilled to have it. Didn't need that to happen this year, but that's the way collecting goes.
Yeah, I would definitely say we need like sort of the next Prop Store auction to be very just big, quiet, with like key Prometheus pieces, like really like some real A+ Prometheus pieces.
I need a big old horror focused auction.
Yeah, exactly. A shitload of horror. Jason versus Prometheus is what I'm looking for.
Star Wars prequels and sequels. Let's say Marvel. Modern Marvel props, Chris Nolan Batman. Let's load that in there.
Yeah,
get it. Get it all in this one.
Well, I think you're absolutely
next
right.
2, I would say, all the way through the end of 2025.
We need like 20, like a sort of a 2025 break. I completely agree. Because I did then, after the fact, I pulled the trigger on the Yavin medal. So I was not actually able to make a deal. The sellers wanted their number, which was fine. But I did, and I do think it was $50K too much. I think if that piece had started at 200, I don't know. I think it could have gone even higher.
Yeah.
I thought the number was 250, and I couldn't get them to come down, and I just said fuck it, because I just felt like on another day in an auction, this thing goes high, a little higher or whatever. And I wanted it, and it was never coming around again, and I just thought it was really special. And yeah, again, doing time as well, but I just felt like I'm not going to see this again if I don't grab it right now. Well, I guess we would have seen it again, but I felt like I wasn't sure I could get it. So I made the deal after the fact.
Yeah, well,
and I am
you're
putting,
person.
I'm absolutely insane. The one wonderful thing about this is while there were articles about both of those sales, it was relatively... You had to search for those articles. It wasn't quite the what's the word I'm looking for? The X-Wing sort of like
local idiot buys a spaceship that doesn't go to space.
We're breaking into like tonight's news to tell you about an X-Wing sale. So it was a little on the more sort of quiet down low. So everything is kind of very
Al
peaceful.
Roker wasn't shaming you on the NBC.
Very peaceful here at the
show.
Mandel house. Didn't get like 4 million emails from people going,
Good.
was this you? And people writing to Becky going, was this him? So nice and quiet.
Did you tell your family?
Whatever. I have not. Very quiet, just sort of making some time payments, putting some stuff into auction. It's all going to be fine and good, but just, I fucking just did it. Yeah.
Good for you.
And again, it is that thing
I feel much better about myself now. I feel much more responsible in your.
That's why I needed you to bid on the
shadow.
I needed you to bid on the Mr. Fusion. Just then I could feel better. Then at least
I see, yeah.
But no, I mean, when these things come up, I mean, again, especially when you have a big collection. And look, I think the key is obviously, can you let go of things from your collection that you have either fallen out of love with or don't care about, or in my case, I have a breadth of smaller items which are harder to add up, but again, they do add up. I mean, it's a bunch of pieces, but it does add up, and that's, I think, a little bit of the key. And it's interesting. I'm definitely, as I'm entering this phase of my career, my post-fire phases of my career, even though I'm not probably doing myself a lot of favors, although both these pieces I think I could get out in a fire, I do find it's a lot of the older paper stuff that I am less enamored with. That's what I have discovered is like some of the various, I love art, but some of the various just like, I don't know, I have production notebooks and things and whatnot. I'll probably like take some photographs of anything interesting in them, but like some of these like things like that, for me, they don't mean quite as much. The grand search for, I don't know, receipts. I have some R2-D2 receipts. I'm not sure. They're really fascinating and someone will want them. And I really enjoyed them while I had them, but now maybe not as much. And if those knock a couple grand off my bill, fantastic. And I guess that's how I'm thinking about these things in particular.
In the last 5 years, I had we all did. I mean, this wasn't a private deal or anything, but I had a shot at the continuity binder for both Blade Runner and for Batman.
Right.
2 of my favorite movies. And I stared at those things for a long time. And they were just going to sit on the shelf, and like, you page through them and it's exciting to have and all that. But I really, because 15 years ago, if I was here and because of where the depressed prices of things, and those would have been that much, lower as a percentage of the sort of big stuff that you put in a display case. But now forget it. And then you're responsible for moving those things around. I just went through a storage unit cleaning out, and it's a nightmare. And I don't have nearly as much stuff as you do, but there are things that I'm like, I don't know if that made it. I don't know. Right. We like shut up our house in LA, and because we were going to be here long term, stuff went into a storage unit in LA. And I've now moved that stuff out of that storage unit, and like, I don't know that stuff went into that unit in the first place because I didn't do an inventory on it 3 years ago. Right. and now I don't know if it's going to be there when I open it up again in years to come. So, and no, to be clear, no collection stuff is in there. Nothing, of substance. There's replicas and things like that, but books I care about, and pieces that have a sentimental meaning to me from my life and career. And I'm like, I don't even know if it's in there. It's just you just have to keep track of so many things. And right now with this stuff here in one country, and then so much of my stuff in secure art storage in Los Angeles at the moment, I'm just, it's like my head is spinning, and I just want to get to a place where it's like all under one roof, and then consolidate again, meaning get anything that is not on display in there, kind of get it into auction and paying down bills for things that I am going to care enough to display.
No one, I don't think that a sort of Star Wars press kit from Japan is going to wipe my debt. But at the same time, it chips away. I mean, it really does. And if you go, I got rid of all that stuff, and all of a sudden you go, I just knocked like $100,000 off of the price of, I don't know, the Yavin medal, whatever you want to pick.
Yeah,
it's kind of stunning. I mean, it is kind of stunning when you think about it that way. So, I just like I said, some of this paperwork, the I don't know, the Star Wars ephemera paperwork that I've spent a lot of time sort of gathering back in the day, sort of almost like before I was finding the props I wanted, where it was the next best thing, if that makes sense.
Right.
That stuff has less interest to me. And then I have so much art. It is that thing of like, well, what if I just get rid of the bottom 20, and then what does my art collection look like? And that's kind of interesting too. So that's where I'm kind of going as a starting point, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I hear that. Yeah. Well, if you're looking to get rid of any Star Wars or Jedi call sheets, I'm in need of one
for you. I have both.
One of each of those movies. So whenever that becomes a thing that you need to do, let's chat. I can knock down 0.00004%.
Yeah, it all adds up. It all adds up. No, it's good. It's good. And that was the prop store auction. So I hope I hope everybody was excited to hear the end results. Let us know what you won. We're very excited to hear what you guys got.
Absolutely.
And if we were of any help, I always like to know if we sort of pointed you in any kind of direction or not, as the case may be. So
we do like to hear those stories. Yes, for sure.
Those
and this is
fun.
This is the longest period of the year between sort of prop store auctions, so there's not going to be another one now until late summer. So there's a good amount of recovery time.
Although there is the big, we think, June Heritage auction.
Yes.
And then Julian's has a couple of various things going on. They've got a James Commissar Collection TV auction coming up that I don't know the date of. Okay. I think is May. And then I don't know what else they have. So again, it doesn't stop, but
it doesn't really stop. But in terms of prop store world, it's a little bit of pause and recovery time, which I think brings us to our next sort of what's next for us. What's next for the stuff dreams are made of, and we don't know. This is a season finale. We very much enjoy doing this once a week for you guys and for the two of us. We always say this is a paid therapy session for the two of us to talk about anything other than our jobs, which are taxing and all consuming in their own right. But we had a good thing kind of going with sponsorship, and it sort of wobbled a little bit because.
And we want to be just to throw this in. No one was making money. No one was getting rich off the podcast. But we simply, in an effort, and I hope you guys notice these things. We sound mix this thing. That costs money. We edit it. That costs money. Bart does a lot of filming and whatnot. It costs money.
You guys fly to Dallas. You've flown to New York, I think, at some point. I've gone out and done filming, hired equipment on our own, and that stuff, it costs money and time, really. I mean, to go out and do one of those filming things, it's really a day out of our working lives in order to do that. And yes, it's fun. It's particularly fun when Dave and I can do it together. But it's, that stuff is work. And we just kind of got to this we wanted to get to we were never going to make any money off of this show. We've accepted that a long time ago. We wanted to get it to a place where we're not in the hole for making it, and we need to pay Bart and take care of Bart. I mean, Bart's the one that does all of the sort of unglamorous work around making this podcast. He does a great job, and all the seamlessness of you guys getting an episode every week and it uploading, and the sound and the picture and the editing all going well. I mean, there are podcasts made by much fancier people that look and sound much shittier than this one, and that's a credit to Bart and the way he set up this entire operation, the recording studio, the equipment, the video camera that he uses and rents when certainly when he and Dave go out on the road, or when the three of us go out on the road together. That's Bart, and that stuff, as Dave said, costs money.
I was going to say, for those of you that have been longtime listeners, I don't actually ever interrupt Ryan. That's all Bart just editing the interruptions. I mean, he completely has built that. I mean, he's fantastic.
Made a character.
Yeah, no, it's really great of just me constantly interrupting. It's fantastic. So, I mean, again, if we didn't have Bart, then that goes away. It's just two people talking and not interrupting each other. So there's something,
just two people respectfully waiting for the other to finish their sentence. Yeah, so we kind of got to this crossroads where we have our two sponsors that have historically sponsored this podcast, Prop Store and Heritage, both wonderful sponsors. We love them both. We do a lot of business with both of them. Hopefully, we've also brought a lot of business in just because of the niche nature of this podcast. But they're competitors, and they kind of don't, they both want to be in this kind of solo space, but it's hard for us to reconcile. We want this to be a kind of a news podcast, a journalistic podcast where we're not just talking about one set of auctions. And not that either one is really asking us to do that. It's just, it is a bit of that, you're on the phone and a big lot has come up and you're waiting for the bidding to go on, and each one wants the other to kind of go away, and it's just not happening. It's hard to do this podcast and not talk about heritage auctions regularly and prop store auctions regularly. So it's a difficult thing. So we've been looking at different options, both with them to try to make this more palatable to them in the future, and also other options outside of that kind of sponsorship to keep the lights on at this place and keep enough money flowing in that we can make this worth Bart's while to continue doing. He's a talented guy. He does not need to make podcasts. He does this because I think he likes it. He likes us. And it's just it's fine. He likes the character that he wrote for David Mandel, and we just want to be able to keep that going and have it, at the point that this becomes a drudgery for David or me or for Bart, the show is over. So we just need a little time to step away and see what we're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, we were planning on
next.
taking this break anyway, but we are going to try and use this break. And you guys are welcome to weigh in, and I'll throw a couple of things just at you guys. And please, we'd love to hear from especially our more dedicated listeners. I guess number one is, look, the fact that we do, Jesus Christ, what do we do? Like, we do like 48 episodes a year sometimes?
Not quite that much. I feel like it's more in the 30 to 35 range, where essentially if there's 52 weeks in the year, figure we're down for 12 to 15 weeks, I would say. So maybe, I think last year we'd actually managed 40 episodes. So we were only kind of down for 12 weeks of the year, which is incredible given our lives, families.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the podcasts I listen to, you're lucky if you get 6 a year or 7 a year. And I don't know, maybe there's a different version of this show where we do 6 or, whatever, even if it's 10 a year, but that's it. And it's less about perhaps individual auctions, more about just the like the collecting world, and we do 10 with 10 hopefully interesting guests, 10 where maybe one's a deep dive and whatever, but less of the week-to-week auction coverage, what we bought, perhaps less of that, although I do think people like that. So I don't know. That is one way of doing it, where we will just be a fewer. I don't know what else to say. Another version we've talked about is some sort of a Patreon thing, which is, would you pay if, like, to have the access, even if down the line, say 3 months later, you could listen for free, but if you wanted to hear the actual week-to-week auction coverage and whatnot, would anybody pay? And again, not $1 million. I mean, I think it would cost roughly the price of a Yavin medal plus a ghost trap would be the Patreon total per person. But no, a
We're in
normal
the hole, people.
yeah, a normal number that, a couple of bucks a month to listen to the show. Would you actually do that, or is that just fucking a bridge too far? And that's okay, by the way. I'm not sure I would pay to listen to us. So, take that as you will. So I guess that is a question. Would that ever work? Or does somebody have another idea of like a format or whatnot for what the show could be? I don't know. Again, no great answer.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we did talk about, we've talked a lot about this Patreon system, which has been successful for other podcasts, where essentially you're paying to get early access and the or present day access, and what that would look like for us is essentially we do a season, we're covering a bunch of topics that are hopefully timely with what's going on that year, but the things that are really timely are the auction coverage that's going on. And when we're talking about the lead up to the auction and the after the auction, that stuff, if you want to participate in it as a collector, that's the kind of stuff that we would be kind of keeping behind the paywall, so to speak. But then, I don't know, a month after the auction or a month later, after all of these things are sort of gone and done, anybody can log on and go listen to the historic record. These things would always be made available after the fact. We don't want to keep everything totally behind the paywall forever, because we would want to keep attracting hopefully new listeners to it. So that's sort of one of the things that we were thinking. But we also don't want to. We really value the few thousand of you that do listen very dedicatedly, and we don't want to alienate you guys because you've been really supportive of the podcast the whole time. But again, the sort of economics, nuts and bolts of this thing that we need to make work if we're going to come back and do more of these.
I don't know. More merch? Would people buy, would another shirt do anything? I don't know. It just, just something that can move the needle a little bit. Again, not looking to make money, but would just like to kind of keep doing it on the level we are doing it. Because if you're not doing it well, it just feels shitty, I guess, to do it. Will
you buy all of the toys and books that David doesn't want in his condo anymore?
You will get special access to the big yard sale. First come, first serve.
All right.
It's gonna be one of those yard sales where it's just like, how much is this? And it'll be like, it's $100. How about $1? No, it's not a yard sale. I mean, I know it's a yard sale, but just fuck you. So yeah. Anyway, we'd love to hear what you're thinking, just because we do like doing the show. It's just trying to figure out how to do it on a way that, like, I don't know, it just seems silly that we're losing money. Take that as you will. So something to think about. And then I guess the other answer is there anything that we're not doing, forgetting about whether anyone is paying for it or not? Obviously at this point, we try and bring in some interesting guests. We try and do the deep dives. This year you got 2 deep dives after not getting a deep dive at all last season. I don't know. Are there other things that you're sort of interested in? I know the auction coverage is popular. We've certainly done that ad nauseum. We've tried to bring in some interesting authors at least once in a while. People obviously from Ryan's show, maybe in the future, some other just prop people in general, other collectors and whatnot. Might be time for another Wives show, maybe down the line too. But anyway, some version, anything else that we're not doing that you think would be sort of interesting, maybe part of the show. And we definitely want to explore other collecting. I think we definitely want to bring a sports guy in. I think we definitely want to do another comic art episode, another monkey radiator cap episode. So that's stuff to come as well. To
cover off on things that are sort of adjacent to the things that we collect and talk about on the show, but maybe not in it. Sports collecting, game use sports stuff being a great sort of example of that.
Yeah. So please write us at bloobity-blah at blah blah blah.
Dreams are made of podcast at gmail.com. Or at Props Podcast on any social media, YouTube and whatever.
Yeah, and you can leave a comment in the YouTube or something like that. Bart looks at all of it. So yeah, please reach out. We'd love to hear thoughts or just your guys' perspective, because you guys we do appreciate that you guys are actually listening. So I hope this isn't too sad or anything. It's just sort of, we're just trying to sort of figure it all out. So yeah, I don't know. I also wanted to throw a plug in really quickly, not a sponsor,
Yeah.
but a plug, which is our good friend Dan Lanigan. His Cinema Relics is live
Yeah.
on YouTube. And certainly when we come back, we will have Dan on the show. The season was ending before we realized it. But please check out Cinema Relics on YouTube. Dan and his team are kind of deep diving in on specific props. And really, if you have no idea, every time we say what a screen match is, and you're kind of like, I don't get it, I don't understand, how do you do a screen match? If nothing else, watch the show. It will show you how a screen match happens. So I feel like there's some really good value there, if nothing else.
In the first episode, they do a deep dive on Dan's Indiana Jones costume,
Which is complete Temple
pants.
of Doom, right? Full Temple
Yeah.
of Doom costume. Yeah.
Yeah, but there are Raiders components in it. So
okay.
I think hat and jacket are Temple, shirt is likely Raiders, maybe modified for Temple, and then pants are Raiders, I think. And maybe, again, reused in Temple, but the pants are Raiders pants. So, and they can kind of tell by the labeling in the costumes, because the U.S. costume maker only made stuff for the U.S. For Raiders, which even though the film was made in the U.K., they made the costumes in the U.S. sort of early under the supervision of Deborah Newdilman Landis, the costume designer. But anyway, it's very worthwhile. It's the sort of thing that we try to do for a kind of class of props: the Stormtrooper helmet, the Vader helmet, the pulse rifle, the Han Solo blaster. This is for this one specific piece, and it shows you the specific points where they're saying the jacket matches and the shirt matches. It's just really, really worthwhile, and incredibly well produced. They spent some money on it. There's BTS stuff from Indiana Jones, and it's just really well made and worth checking out. And I think there's going to be a lot of cross-pollination between our fan base and that. And
if you'd like to sponsor them but not us, that's okay. That I'm sure they'd be thrilled to have a sponsor too.
That would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
So that brings us about to the end of season 10 here. Unless you have anything else, Dave, I think it's time that we do the grand unveiling of the mystery that has loomed over this podcast for an entire season now. What did Ryan get? What was this crazy mystery prop that Ryan acquired? And I was hoping to actually have it in the background today to unveil. I am actually picking it up this week with its display.
Put a picture in. If you see, if you
will,
are watching on YouTube, there'll be a picture in a minute. We'll cut it right photo in
and put it on the feed and all that. But I acquired, and a bunch of people actually guessed this off of our last.
Now we should say this. Yeah, the last clue about the cold definitely opened it up for a crap load of people. But the person who guessed it and who actually won it guessed just really early in a way that is still, I don't quite know. I think he just knows what you like, I guess, but I don't know.
He's hacked my email. I'm not really sure. But yes, the super listener and super commenter, super fan, Thomas Essen, was the winner. And I think he did this off of the second clue that we gave, which I think was from the 1980s, which was 80s, just so obscure.
He did it off of You Can Eat It. I mean, no, it was crazy what he did it out of. And by the way, really good guesses. Lots of Blade Runner trench coat, the Nostromo.
People know me very well.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were definitely in Ryan's wheelhouse.
Lots of Blade Runner
stuff.
guesses, lots of Harrison Ford related guesses, lots of Indy Jacket guesses, which is a fair one just given my continuing and long pursuit of a Harrison Ford Indy Jacket. But this is very adjacent. It's very close. And actually, if you had told me a year ago or 2 years ago that I would be acquiring a Harrison Ford jacket, this would probably be the last thing that I would guess, just because I would guess it to be the least sort of acquirable, if that makes any sense.
Right. Number one, you would have been Witness jacket.
So correct, yes. Mosquito Coast, Dave.
Mosquito Coast,
hold
hat
your tongue,
and suspenders. Yeah.
But I'm the proud new owner of Harrison's jacket, Han Solo's jacket from The Empire Strikes Back, that he wears essentially through the entire movie. This particular jacket is matched seemingly to the entire Cloud City sequence. He wears another jacket for more of the film, but this particular part of the film He's wearing this jacket, which is identifiable based on a bunch of tells on the jacket, particularly the pocket position where the two breast pockets are situated to their distance from the seam of the jacket, and we can just show some of these things in the match and all that when we post it online.
Both jackets have, I guess, come to I guess at different times came to market, and both exist. And as you said, the pocket positions are different. The one you have now, plays in Bespin. The other one plays, I believe, on the Millennium Falcon and more back at the
wherever
Echo
else
base.
Wherever else he wears it. Yeah, and this one matches to my favorite Han Solo moment in the trilogy, which is when he sees Vader in the dining hall and does not hesitate, doesn't freak out, panic, hold his hands to his head. Han Solo is Han Solo. He draws on the guy. And unlike George Lucas ruining the great Han Solo moment in A New Hope by making Greedo shoot or insult Han or McClunky or whatever the hell
he was
going
literally
on.
If he could have, he would have killed him at dinner. Just that simple.
Yeah, exactly. And that is still there. I think it's the great character defining moment of Empire for Han. And he's wearing my jacket when he does it. And Vader pulls the stunt blaster that I have out of his hand. I mean, we don't know whether it's that specific one, but that model comes out of Han's hand and into Vader's hand in that scene. And basically maybe Dave's Vader helmet is in that room too, we think. So there's just a lot of really
We're trying to
cool...
put that entire scene together. We're trying to put that entire scene together, yeah.
We just need a Lando cape and a full Boba Fett costume, and we're almost there. But just very exciting. And the fact that I have now the blaster from Empire, the stunt blaster, and the hero jacket, the match jacket, it's a big thrill to me. And I will call it, I am done with Star Wars. That did it for me. I have my Stormtrooper helmet from A New Hope, and I have those two pieces from my favorite character from my favorite film of the trilogy. That I don't know what else to say. I'm freaking thrilled, and it's one of those pieces that I didn't think I was ever going to have. So I have it now. I have it displayed. I had the excellent and talented Chris Barton make a really cool display for it, where I asked him to do this. I said, is this even possible, to build a torso mannequin and then sort of mold the shape of the undershirt, the shirt that he wears under the costume, because there are no original ones out there, at least not in private hands, into the mannequin to sort of suggest the shape of it. Because the issue with that jacket, unlike other ones, is sort of in a vacuum, it can be hard to tell what it is. I mean, once you see it, if you know, but if you walk in off the street, it's kind of hard to tell. And what Chris has done is beyond my expectation in terms of its execution.
It's like a shirt sculpture as opposed to a replica shirt sitting under it, which, by the way, would have could have worked and been fine. And maybe a different color. Again, that's where it gets hard. But in this case, it's kind of built into the mannequin, so it's a mannequin.
Rigid.
Yeah, it's a rigid mannequin shirt. It's a sculpt. So there's no sense of, is the shirt real too or not? You don't. Yeah. It takes the question off the table.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful. Yeah.
And because of the sculpting, there is this intentional loss of a layer or two of detail. So it is a suggestive shape that gives form to the jacket without saying
button or every whatever. It's just
every
sort
stitch
of yes, exactly.
Of the fabric. Yeah. It's amazing. He knocked it out of the park, and I think it just presents so well now. And when it's sitting next to the gun, which again that will be happening in situ a bit later this week, we'll post photos. Just absolutely thrilled.
So you didn't have him. I actually thought about this after the fact. Are you just going to put the gun, forgive me, for lack of a better word, in front of it or next to it? But you didn't have him build. There's not a piece off of the bottom of the mannequin to hold the gun. It's not a two-foot.
No. I'm keeping what I have because it should be I think it should be presented in its own way. Sort of up on a stand, and it'll just be as it would be in a museum. I think where it's just
the only thing I will say, and something you think about this, is to have him make another gun display, but have him lift it higher. Do you know what I'm kind of saying? So that you could conceivably, and again, they would exist separately, but it could sit in front of it and kind of be like not at the bottom of the jacket, but more sort of in the middle. I don't know. It could look really cool, like sort of sitting in front of it, but higher. Do you know what I mean? Like it. I don't think it can be the current low one, and you'd still have the old display if you didn't like it. But I don't know. It's something to look at. It just in my brain. That's how I don't know. That's what I was thinking. You were.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what I'm kind of going for is this effect here of the way the whip sort of sits next to Indy. You know, beside it.
I totally understand that. I guess I don't know. There's something about. I don't know, together. I don't know. But again, I see it both ways. Yeah. So something to think about.
Yeah. And this is obviously not the final destination for these things either. So as I get closer to a permanent display room, all of those things are kind of on the table. But yeah, I'll send photos and
when you are done with the show and you move back, your plans are, I hope I'm not saying anything off, whatever your plans are, moving back to the East Coast of the United States. Are you going to build like a guest house for Chris Barton, or like a small workshop, or like a shed? Like where will he be living?
One of my kids is moving out. So,
perfect. Good.
They don't know which one yet. We don't know which one yet. It's going to be a little bit of a Thunderdome kind of thing.
Hunger Games Thunderdome thing.
Yeah, who loves us more, and who you know.
And so Chris and the remaining child bunk beds, kind of a situation.
I think they'll be across the. I mean, I'm not cruel.
Okay.
I want to make sure Chris is comfortable. Really, that Chris is comfortable and has his own bedroom and living space. Because I want to be able to get the best work out of him. If I'm going to have this this kind of artist living domiciling with us. Really, we're going to be in the guest house, Dave, and he gets the main house because I want to give him the run.
Nice, yeah.
And so he's really really free and inspired.
Perfect. To really display shit. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Good. That sounds lovely. Congratulations, Thomas Essen. Please, I guess email Bart, although I think we have your email, but we'll get your address and you will get an exciting box of crap from my condo. And please then take pictures of yourself surrounded by the crap from my condo.
Will there be a monkey in the box? Any shape or form?
I think there will be some kind of a monkey. It may not be a radiator cap, but there will be something simian. I actually have something really, really cool that I guess, Thomas, you can decide if this is something. I don't know how much I don't know how much Star Wars how much you are a Star Wars person, but what I was going to say was, and you know this, Ryan. So years ago, I have the original art, the painting for the Chaikin San Diego Comic-Con poster. And then I also have the 4 original paintings for the Burger King Burger Chef posters / glasses. And I have all 4. I have those 4, and I have, I said, the Chaikin. And at some point or another, I did, I took them to like this professional place and had these like crazy high-res scans made. And then I did these super high-end prints of,
they're gorgeous,
of the 4 Burger Kings and the Chaikin. And
you were kind enough to give me a Chaikin, and I have that. It's displayed right in my hallway up here.
And Howard Chaikin, I made a donation to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. He was kind enough to sign a bunch of the posters. And so I have been guarding those sort of with my life. And of course now at this point, 20 years have gone by, and it's been like 18 years since I've given one to anybody. And I would consider giving them giving you a set, Thomas, if you were interested. But if they then ever showed up like in any kind of an auction, I would have to come there and murder you. So,
fair.
I would want to know that you, honest to God, want them and would put them up. Otherwise, I have other things.
You would have to use one of your weekend passes from white collar prison.
I know. I would end up. I think I would end up in a worse prison, but such is life. Yeah, it would be worth it though, because I have like treasured and protected these things to the point of insanity, and now I was like, finally I managed to move everything that was blocking the flat file drawers, and then of course I'm like, what's in this drawer? And I was like, oh, all those Chaikin posters. Oh, what's in this one? It's just like, what am I doing with all of these? So I would like to find.
I don't have the Burger King with the Chaikin is incredible. It actually, people have seen it and thought for a moment that I have the original piece of art. And I was like, no,
Yeah,
no,
it's hard to explain, but the poster itself from back in the day, I guess just because of the way printing was at the time,
Generation
doesn't quite.
loss. It
Yeah,
does
it
not do
could
the
not quite
justice,
pick up
yeah.
the colors that are actually in the piece. And Chaykin's color usage was just. I mean, I think it's a beautiful piece in general, but the color usage is just is really incredible. And Wade LaJose, my wonderful and Brandon Allinger's our co-writer of the Macquarie book and an incredible graphic designer in his own right, works on the prop store catalogs, big Macquarie collector. He went with me to the scanning and helped with all of the color correction with the obsessiveness that he brings to everything in a great way. And it's just, they're just incredible because again, you're seeing these like colors that just, it couldn't pick up in the day. Anyway, so that's something to think about. Or if anyone is interested, they're $300,000 for a set. Make the check out to Prop Store. But no, anyway, so Thomas, we'll talk about all of that and go from there. But anyway, congratulations. And just
Well done.
how did you just guess it? Like you just thought about Ryan and props you knew were out there? Do you remember those being out there, or was there something that clued you into it? Just curious, because
Did you sell
early.
me the Han Solo jacket, possibly? Did I not?
What a strange
track of that.
grift, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good, yeah, and congratulations, by the way. Also, that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And what a fine note to go out
No,
on.
the congratulations
And-
was to you, Ryan. Sorry, that was your.
Oh,
congratulations.
thank you.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Very exciting. Very, very exciting, and thrilled to have it. Just, I've had this experience. I've been lucky enough to have this experience a couple times over the last handful of years, where these pieces have come in that I just can't believe that I have, and this is another one of them. And it's a thrill and an honor to be the custodian of this piece, at least for this next hopefully number of decades, as we march on towards our own mortality. But we're only caretakers.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, and we will. I hope. Look, I enjoy doing this. I hope we come back. It might be a little while before we do, but we'll keep in touch. We'll let you know what's going on.
We'll be back.